It's King ISO representing Strange Music and Project Be Will. Want to give a shout out to the Music Connection magazine. You know what I mean? Ghetto Psycho in stores now. Make sure y'all hit a like, follow, subscribe, all that. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
All right, we're right here with King ISO. Thanks for rocking with us in Music Connection magazine. You got a compelling story, so let's just take it back to the beginning. I know you're from Omaha, Nebraska. We'll start there in terms of your upbringing.
Yeah, I'm an Army brat. You know, my mom was in the service. I was born in Newport, Rhode Island. She ended up getting with my stepfather. You know what I mean? And they ended up ultimately moving to a couple other spots. Like we were in Baltimore for a little bit, and then a couple other spots. We were all over the place, and then we just ended up in Omaha predominantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then in terms of like you rapping and just writing, how did that all come about?
Oh man, I have my older he's my older relative, man. His name is Snake Lucci.
Okay.
He's
on your album too, I see.
Yeah. See, he was upstate for a little bit, and he was getting into a lot of trouble when he was younger. He was like, hey, when I get out, I'm gonna try to do this rap thing, and he was spitting me verses over the phone.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, when you get out and go to the studio, take me with you. So he got out, took me to the studio with him, pretty much showed me how to put bars together and stuff like that. You know, count out 16s and song structure, and I just fell in love with the process. Like he definitely took me under his wing.
Okay, for sure. Mm-hmm. And then, so in terms of you starting to rap, when did that begin?
Yeah, this was like the early 2000s. I went to my first studio, I think, ever in like 2002 or something like that. I think it was like 2002.
Okay.
But yeah, yes sir.
So 7 albums in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, mixtapes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So now this 7th album is on Strange Music.
Yes.
Okay, and then so how did that all come about?
Man, so when I started, I was it was crazy. I was homeless at the time, and I was me and my brother Tabo the Truth. We were both homeless at the time. Mm-hmm. So we had got like this little office space. This guy was like leasing this little office space, and it was super cheap. Okay. So he was like, just give me like $500 deposit, and y'all just have a couple months, because he thinking we getting ready to set up like a legitimate business. Right. We was living out of this office space. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so we didn't have no refrigerator in there, no shower or anything like that. We had like a couple air mattresses and a laptop and you know, a microphone. So we were just recording and stuff like that in there. We were still in Wi-Fi from the there's like a Jiffy Lube next door to us. Or something like, I think it's called Grease Monkey, but it was like a Jiffy Lube type of situation. They had free Wi-Fi, so I was like, we can just upload the songs. You know, next thing you know, a cat from San Diego named Twisted Insane, who had been in cahoots with Tech Nine and several others, he discovered my music, and he was like, yo, you know, come out and rock with me. He had this label called Brain Sick Music. Okay. And he was like, come be a part of the team. I'm like, oh shit, you know. Went out there with him, started moving around, getting my buzz up, and doing like tours and stuff like that. They weren't like super big tours, but he had a really good following. And Tech Nine started to hear about me. Gotcha. And we do a show in Kansas City. Tech Nine pops out to the show, and he's like, I've been hearing about you, ISO. He's like, you got a lot of talent. He was like, take my number down. He was like, but I'm coming here to watch your show set. Oh. You know, we were in some hole in the wall bar or something like that, like Tech. I was like, what is Tech doing here? Like, Tech not supposed to be here. I'm thinking like, do we got no security or nothing with him? I'm like, oh, this the real deal. Like, he popped out. It was just, I think it was him and his lady. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And I'm like, yo, he really came. We was in the hood somewhere. And I'm like, he really came out and watched my whole entire show set. He stood on the side of the stage the whole time I was doing my performance. Okay. And I thought that was crazy. Like, this is the Tech Nine we know as now, you know, with the platinum and gold plaques and stuff like that. Yeah. And you're watching me do my show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was on like American Idol or some shit. You know what I mean? I had all the nervousness and anxiety in the world. After that, he was like, yo, man, like, you're super dope. You know, we went out back, took a couple pictures. He stayed in contact, invited me to his house. Okay. And next thing you know, that turned in, he's sending me a song. Okay. The song being on was getting checks from EA Sports because of Tech. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like he just immediately started making plays for me. He was like, "Come do a couple shows with me." Just put me on a couple shows. Then that turned into a tour, and then I performed really, really well on the tour.
Right.
And next thing you know, him and Travis O'Gwen, his business partner, offered me a contract exchange.
Dope.
Yep.
How long ago was this?
They offered me the contract, and I believe the tail end of 2018,
Okay.
and I signed my deal in 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking we get ready to be off to the races and stuff like that, and next thing you know, live music gets shut down, and I'm like, oh shit. So we had to. That was very, very tricky to maneuver too, because I did still end up going on tour, but with all of the mandates,
Right.
because we had a lot of stuff planned. Like it was actually supposed to be a tour with Jelly Roll.
Okay.
Jelly Roll.
Okay.
I think Ritz, Tech Nine, and myself.
Okay.
That would have been a crazy tour,
Yeah.
man. But then it was like everybody started canceling their tours. Like we didn't know what was going on. There was mass mandates and stuff like that. And then they ended up doing a tour, which Jelly Roll wasn't a part of. You know, Jelly Roll that out of nowhere just skyrocketed. Yeah, he just took the fuck off.
Yeah.
We ended up doing shows, but it was like limited capacity.
Right.
We weren't used to seeing that. I think it was like 30-40%.
Yeah.
And I remember we came out here and you can't go to the restaurants without your Vax card or mask. And so it was crazy times, but we still were able to maneuver through that and do some dope shit.
Definitely. So then that period pretty much is building music, making beats. So you make beats as well, you produce.
Yes. Yep.
Talk to me about that and what your preferred, equipment is and whatnot.
So funny story, man. I want to say like when I did some of my first shows, like I want to say like 2003, 4, something like that. There was this website called SoundClick.
Okay.
And they used to have that's where all the producers used to put their stuff up, and we would just go in and download beats. Some of them had free beats to lease. But some of I think the guys we were working with, they were saying that they were purchasing the beats and then we had exclusive rights to them, and we didn't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we go do some shows, and one of the acts that get on before us had the same beats, and I was like, oh, this is super duper embarrassing, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and they weren't like industry beats. You know how everybody can do remixes to where they were like, okay, we did a remix too. It was like, nah, they had the same exact beats, like original beats. So I was like, I'm not gonna let this happen again. So I picked up some equipment. I started using FL Studio, and getting all of the drum packs. I was like, got Dr. Drake drums, Timberland drums, Swiss Beat drums, Little John drums, and I just tried to emulate every style that I could. Like Drake definitely set the format for me. I wanted everything I did to sound like the 2001 album. You know what I mean? Like that was like my introduction to production. Like I was like, I want my shit to sound like that. Heavily West Coast influence.
Okay.
Then I started trying to do other stuff, you know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, it got good enough to where I could produce my own music. I was like, I don't need a producer anymore.
Right.
Unless it's necessary for me to just try to switch it up, but typically, like, especially now, man, it's more lucrative for me to do that instead of paying thousands of dollars to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially when the publishing and stuff hit. And then it was dope because Tech believed in my production so much that he ended up asking me for a beat to do an anthem for the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's right.
And that ended up being Red Kingdom, which is now platinum.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's up.
That's what's up.
So in terms of just emceeing and rapping, like who are some of your influences?
Man, definitely Tech, since we're on the subject of Tech 9. Ice Cube for sure. Pac is my all-time favorite. Bone Thugs for sure. Do or Die. Love Busta Rhymes. And these were all the tapes and CDs I was stealing from my step pop. So E40 is another one. Like all of I feel like the golden era of hip hop, the 90s. Those are like all of my favorites, and they all play a significant role in my style. I just put them all into a pot and then put my own little twist on it. You know what I mean? From the production to the subject matter, the way that I lay out my beats and or not my beats, but my albums. Like try to do like cinematic sound. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Ice Cube skits used to sound like Lethal Injection. Like, like those type of things influenced me a lot.
Okay. Okay. 'Cause speaking of E40, you guys have a new track together.
Yes.
Tell us about that and how that came about.
Man, so I just, you know, I get real creative when I'm making my beats sometimes, and I'm like, I like to challenge myself. So I was like, you know what? I haven't did something that was real, like, radio friendly. Not necessarily radio friendly, because I do have radio friendly songs, but like I'm talking about like a real upbeat, hyphy song.
Right.
And I was like, I want to, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I want to make some hyphy shit. So, I was in my car one day, and you know, the alarm for like the doors open.
Right.
I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I was like, I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna make a beat. And I was like, I'm gonna call that shit Crash Out, because everybody been saying crash out lately. I was like, car crash out. I was like, then I started making it, and I was like, this shit sound like some E40 shit. You know what I mean? I was like, this sounds like E40. As I'm making the beat, before I even write a single bar or even start coming up with the hook, I'm like, E40 would kill this shit. So I did the song. I got it ready. I played it for Travis O'Gwen. Shout out to Travis O'Gwen. Played it for him in his office, and I'm like, I hear E40 on this. He was like, should I call him right now? He called E40. He was like, yeah, you familiar with King ISO? And I didn't even notice. He was like, yeah, I'm already following him on Instagram. So I was like, wow, like the GOAT is following me. I didn't even know he knew who I was. He was like, send it over, I'll do it. I'm like, oh shit, like he's really gonna do the song. He did it, sent it back. The rest is history, you know what I'm saying? And I'm so appreciative, because it's like, I'm always give flowers, you know what I'm saying, where they're due. I'm always give respect where it's due. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely thank them personally, and really appreciate him doing that song. And we're gonna shoot the video too, so that's gonna take even more over the top. Yeah,
absolutely. And speaking of Travis, you made a song called Travis.
Yes.
Pretty catchy.
Yeah.
I mean, what made you want to do that song?
Well, Travis and me we've gotten really close, man. And one thing that I did know about Travis that I respected a lot, but I did question a lot, like I wonder how you do it, is he has this narrative about him a lot, you know, that he's the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, Travis is this, Travis is that. And I'm like, that can't be the same Travis I know. You know what I mean? Like any situation that me and Travis have had, we've handled it like men, and it's been a very like civil thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, this dude ain't as bad as what people are saying he is. And I'm like, Trav, why don't you ever dispel any of the rumors or set the record straight for anything? And I was begging him to do it, and he was like, I just have this thing where I don't really give a fuck what people are saying about me. He was like, I used to be on Facebook and Instagram in the comments. He was like, but now, he was like, whatever I went through with these people, they know the truth, I know the truth. Not their truth or my truth, but the truth. You know what I'm saying? Which is a quote I'm gonna take with me forever. You know what I mean? He was like, you know, and we know what it is, and I don't really need to speak on it. But I'm like, my thing was, you're a public figure, and people want to know about you. You know what I mean? I know you're in the shadows a lot, which is definitely respectable. But I'm like, when you got people saying all of this type of crazy shit about you, at least I said, but at one time, just go on somebody's podcast and set the record straight for everything. And he did it. And I was like, that's dope as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But I just was like, Travis is a good dude, and any problem I've ever had with him or that he's had with me, we've came together and we've worked it out in a professional manner. Like, it wasn't unfair. It was like, it made perfect sense. I feel like Travis is a good dude, but also in the same breath, the couch super low. But I felt like I was going through the same thing as Trav, which is why I would ask him. I'm like, I'm getting looked at as the villain a lot. I help a lot of people out. And sometimes, you know, I feel like we all go through that. You know, we help people out. We done loaned this person money, you know, helped this person get into a situation, you know, gave our lives to people. And at the end of the day, we still end up being the villain. You know what I mean? And I feel like us regular people, we be like, nah, we're going to set the record straight. They know what it is. And I just never seen nobody that was just like, I'm not even going to say nothing. I was like, how do you do it?
Right.
You know what I mean? But then I was like, the more I started to ascend, you know what I mean, and continue to ascend, I'm like, nah, okay, I get it. Because it's so much of it sometimes it could be a little, it's like, do I want to waste my time addressing all this stupid shit, or do I want to just charge it to the game and then keep moving forward and not even worry about addressing that negativity? I feel like I understand it now from the standpoint of addressing something and putting your eye on something or giving something attention gives it life, rather than just saying, I'm gonna just keep that negativity over here and just be over here with my lady and my kids and just focus on what's important. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm gonna make a song. You know what I mean? And that's what really birthed the idea of that song.
Dope. That's a dope idea.
Thank you, brother.
Tell us about this new project. So 24 tracks. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, man, it's called Ghetto Psycho, and it was a play off of the film.
Psycho?
Yes, play off of the film American Psycho. And my thing with it was I wanted to create a body of work that definitely encompassed things that make us, have our own psychosis, and you know what I mean, things that make us crazy, growing up in wherever ghetto setting we at, you know what I mean. I feel like there's a lot of ghettos across the world, you know what I mean, and a lot of things we go through that are normalized in those type of settings, from gun violence, gang violence, drugs, watching people overdose, just certain type of stuff that's so normalized across the board. We all got these same kind of experiences, and I'm like, when you look at the way people are maneuvering that haven't dealt with those type of traumas, I'm like, bro, we all essentially have some sort of crazy going on within us. And I was like, these are the makings of Ghetto Psychos, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, living in those, inner city communities where resources lack, where, you know what I mean, there's not a lot of money poured into the community, where it forces people to have to choose up, you know what I'm saying? Where people might be, doing this and that over territories, and, drug usage, and liquor store on this corner, liquor store on this corner, liquor store on this corner. And I'm like, this is our norm. You know what I mean? And when I have been inpatient in psychiatric wards, I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about others, even just people that don't even open up about it. You know what I mean? I could typically tell, because I was one of those individuals. But in my personal experience, I had to get my freedom back. So it was like, I had to keep it real. I mean, I could have lied, and that I obviously did a couple times just to hurry up and go home. But it was an ongoing cycle. It was either me take accountability for what I'm doing. Life is, 90%, or 90%. What do they say?
Like what happens to you.
Life is 10%. What happens to you? 90% how you react to it. If I keep allowing what has happened to me, the way I grew up, the shit that happened to me, to make me, be angry, or spiteful, or not trust anybody, or move this way, or just, what I mean, not allow any trust or love in. If I don't do that self-work, I'm never going to be happy, and I'm never going to be in a place where I feel like I'm at peace. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to just try it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't an overnight situation. It was like, I'm talking to these psychiatrists, finally finding ones that I could trust, therapists, ones that I could trust. And I had to go to court in there, man, and it was like a shit show. I got committed under the Board of Mental Health, where I couldn't go home. And my mom had to sit there and watch me try to prove to these people that I was sane, at the same time having other pending cases from stupid shit that I was doing, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, I gotta clean this shit up, and I did, you know what I'm saying? And the more I learned, and I look back at like everything that contributed to me, having my diagnoses, you know what I'm saying? I was like, mental illness is a real thing. There's a lot of, especially us men, we go through a lot of stuff, man. It's people that done been through, come on, man. It's a multitude of things, and it's like, to just keep going and not talk about that shit, and to just keep, you know what I mean? Just to keep burying it. It's like I've watched people like literally just crack and just, just lose it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that happens all the time in society. So I stopped being judgmental when I see people going through it. If I see somebody crashing out, I don't judge them. I'm like, you never know how much they might have compressed. You know what I'm saying? Or or what happened to make it finally go over the top and they regurgitate. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and then you start hearing people's stories. I'm pretty sure we all could trade stories. You know what I mean? Like, oh damn, I probably would have crashed out too, or damn, I went through something similar to that. But us as men, we'll just No, I don't talk about that shit. It's like, we might get looked at as weak. Can't show emotion. You gotta, be strong or whatever. But eventually we break. We might break behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? But it's still breaking, whether it's public or not.
Right.
And I'm like, this is the same across the board. So I was like, I'm gonna do an album and speak from these similar situations and call it Ghetto Psycho.
Dope. Okay, cool. And speaking of mental health, you have a foundation, correct?
Yeah. So I started this situation called Project Be Well, which has artists on there. You know what I mean? We do music, and we're just getting started, man. It's still like a starter thing. But we did a fundraiser for this called the Out of Darkness Suicide Prevention Walk. Raised quite a bit of money for that. Went out there, showed our faces, showed support for that. And it's just something that we're just trying to build, you know what I mean? The mantra for Project Be Well is think well, speak well, be well. You know what I mean? If we could change our thoughts, we could change how we speak about ourselves, we could change how we are. And it's just all about getting the conversation started in the community around it as well, for sure.
Definitely. Okay. And tell us real quick about your name, King ISO, and where that came from.
Yeah, man. So King ISO, ironically enough, came from one of the last times I was inpatient in the psychiatric ward, and I had a pending case for a stolen vehicle that I was living out of, and because of my medical diagnosis, they didn't really want me in general population like that, so they moved me to like Suicide Watch, right? And Suicide Watch was housed with they had everybody in there. It was a couple. It just wasn't the place for me. I wanted to go to Gen Pop. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in there. And I ended up flooding my cell, just wigging out, just tripping out, and they put me in isolation. So they put me in a hole. But they didn't call it. They didn't call it the hole. They didn't call it solitary confinement. It was called ISO. And there's 3 letters on the door. You can see it every day. And that was the turning point for me, just being in there all day. And they weren't even giving me my full 23-in-1s. It was like 15 minutes sometimes, and you go right back, shower today. I'm like, they trying to really make me break it. And they did. I would definitely admit that. And once there was nobody to call and cuss out, nobody to point the finger at and say, you're the reason why I'm like this, and nobody to blame for this or that, you know what I'm saying, in that regard. I was like, this is my fault. I'm the reason why my life ended up like this. You know what I'm saying? It's how I responded to shit and got myself in all this trouble. And one day I was in there, I must have been wigging out, yelling at the top of my lungs, kicking on the door. And a chaplain was walking by in the process of doing something else, and he was like, can I go in there and talk to him? He came in there and talked to me. And he was like, you ever heard of the law of attraction? And I was like, no, what's that? He was like, what you put out is what you're gonna get. And he gave me a Bible and just gave me like some really, really dope words. And I was like, I'm gonna try it, man. I'm gonna try to turn this negative into a positive. So they called me ISO every day. And it's like, oh, ISO medical, ISO counselor, ISO this. And I was like, man, I hate this shit. And I was like, what if I turned it into something like I look at these letters and every time I see it, it means I shall overcome. I was like, I like it then. So every time they say it to me, it's like me saying to myself, I'm gonna overcome everything. And when I got out, I was like, I'm a king ISO, and I was like, I'll overcome anything. And from that moment forward, you know what I mean? I've been doing okay. I've been doing pretty good for myself.
Dope.
Yeah.
So you turn that negative into a positive.
Yes. Yeah.
Dope. And you mentioned the Bible too. I mean, were there certain like passages that that actually resonated with you? And
man, from top to bottom, man, there's so much game in that book. Okay. Man, you know what and I feel like too, because even from a, let's just say, a non-religious standpoint, and I always tell people that's like, if they're like, oh well, I believe, I'm like, don't even look at it like, you don't have to look at it like that. Like, there is so much game in the Bible, the Quran. There's so much game in a lot of these religious texts that you can just apply, from a lesson standpoint, and be like, yo, that's done nothing but help me. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I wanted my. This is kind of like off topic, but on topic still. My thing was, I was like, I want to find God. I want to get to know Him. So I got a Bible, got a Quran, and you know what I'm saying? Just doing everything. I was like, you know what I mean? I'm searching for something, you know what I mean? To believe in, to guide me, something that's just not me relying on myself, you know what I mean? On my self-knowledge, and I feel like a lot of us do that. I was prideful, like, nah, can't nobody tell me nothing. You know, how you gonna tell me it's my life? It's like, I'm not the smartest man in the world. There's no way. There's so many people with different levels of experience and other experiences that I just need to allow myself to be studious, no matter how much I've mastered. You know what I mean? No matter how much I can teach, I still need to be able to be taught. Otherwise, I stop myself from growing.
True.
So I let the pastors talk to me. I let people from the nation talk to me. I let people come in and just give me game and give me life and give me insightful knowledge that helped me grow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I'd say all of it.
Okay, for sure, definitely. So we covered a lot. Is there anything else that you want to let the people know?
Nah, man, yeah, man. First and foremost, if you going through it, take it one day at a time. I say all the time, it gets greater later. I was a person who gave up a bunch of times. I was a person who tried to take themselves out multiple times. You know what I'm saying? And thank God I'm still here. My story has helped a lot of people. I do shows. Even when I do my own shows, do big shows with Tech 9, and I got some big shows that I do on my own. And every show we do these meet and greets, and I meet people and they tell me about the impact of what we're talking about. You know, people who are getting clean off drugs, getting back healthy, getting in the gym, getting their families back. And I realized my role as what I once thought was a victim, but it's like I'm a survivor. And man, if you have continued to wake up even to this day, you have already survived your worst days. You know what I mean? And that is enough to inspire somebody who doesn't have the willpower to get out of bed this morning. You feel me? Just hearing a little bit of your struggle could go a long way when just being transparent and opening up to somebody who they don't necessarily have that foundational or internal strength to be like, you know what, I'm gonna get up and do something productive today. You know, some people are just really on the edge of giving up, and I'll tell you to keep going. Your story means something. You mean something. You know what I mean? People do love you despite what you may think. You know, everybody ain't out to get you. You know what I'm saying? There are really genuine people with good intentions in this world, and if you believe that and you believe you can get through it, you can and you will.
Definitely. And where online can others find you?
Oh yeah, Instagram at The Real King ISO, Facebook King ISO, YouTube King ISO. Yep, and everything King ISO. If you want CDs, merchandise, T-shirts, looking for tour dates and stuff like that, strangemusicinc.net has all of that information.
Definitely. And then in terms of just giving an artist one piece of advice, you know, to stand. I know you just gave a piece of advice, but what's one specifically for an artist that's looking to come up in the game or it's in the game and struggling, you know, with their process? What's, you know?
I would say, man, that your greatest superpower is that nobody else will ever be you. You know what I mean? I felt like I was trying to find myself in so many other things when I was coming up. I was like, bro, I just need to just do me. Just, you know what I mean? Like my story matters. You know, I was trying to, you know, one up everything. Like my story needs to be as significant as this person's. Or, you know, I didn't have, you know what I mean? Like, you know, some people have some really crazy, dope stories. And some people, they didn't have no wild thing that happened. They just they were so dope in their own right that it just made them, you know, separate. You know, that's what separates you from everybody else. So just take your time. I would say definitely the company you keep definitely is a very, very big thing, because this is a tricky business. Really try to have people around you that are like-minded and that are trying to go places, because, and I feel like in any career, whether it's music, I don't give a fuck if you're a mechanic, barber, it's like you want to have a long-lasting, you know, success in whatever it is. This definitely going to be contributed by or affected by who you do surround yourself with. Like, be intentional and definitely try to be impactful in the most positive way, because having certain things around you will definitely set you off course and will serve as a hindrance rather than being conducive to your growth in any regard. So you watch the company you keep, take your time, one day at a time, man. You know what I'm saying? Definitely be consistent, try to be as organized as possible, and be healthy. You know, it's just a tricky world out here, and there are a lot of people struggling with a lot, you know, and our health is wealth. You know, we can't enjoy anything if we're not living.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so just be healthy, be mindful, you know, speak life over yourself no matter what you're going through. Believe in yourself, and I feel like you can get through it.